Welcome to the July 20th meeting of the Jefferson City Council. We'll have a prayer by Councilwoman Laura Ward.
As we meet here this evening to serve our community, help us to use our resources wisely, to represent all members of our community fairly, and to make decisions that promote the common good. In doing so, help us recognize our responsibility to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek guidance on our efforts and decisions here tonight. As we work together on behalf of all who live in the city of Jefferson, may we gain strength and wisdom from one another through reason and compassion. Let us all remember those who have lost their lives protecting us and our freedoms, and thank those who continue to do so. May our personal faith give us the strength to act honestly and well in all matters before us. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'll call this meeting to order. Mrs. Powell, roll call, please.
Branch.
Here.
Costalis.
Here.
Graham.
Here.
Henry.
Here.
Hussey.
Here.
Mihalovich.
Here.
Prather.
Here.
Schreiber.
Here.
Scrivener.
Here.
Ward. Here.
Thank you. Item 3, adoption of agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 4, miscellaneous agenda items. We have a resolution, RS 2015-12. Mrs. Powell?
A resolution of appreciation for B.J. DeLong and pledge of support for riverfront access.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Second.
All right. Thank you. And tonight, we would like to show our appreciation for Mrs. Betty Jo DeLong for her $50,000 gift to Explore Riverfront Access Development. And we have someone with us this evening to speak on behalf of Mrs. DeLong. Mrs. Ann Monaco Warren, if you would like to come forward to the podium, please. And we appreciate you being here this evening on behalf of the DeLong family.
Well, thank you very much for your lovely invitation to be here. And the invitation is extended to Mrs. DeLong, and I am here on her behalf. I'm her legal counsel. And she asked that I extend to all of you her most heartfelt thank you for the support and the hard work that you have put towards this project. It is something very near and dear to her heart, and she is very happy to know that this is a possibility that can happen in her lifetime. And thank you very much.
Thank you for being here, Mrs. Warren, and we're looking forward to taking up this bill. As you can see, we have several sponsors of the bill tonight, and that shows a lot of support from the council. And to give everybody a background on what this is, it's a gift from Mrs. DeLong's family, where Mrs. DeLong has chosen to give $50,000 to work on studying a riverfront access point where there can be access from our side of the river, the south side, very similar to the bike pedestrian bridge that's currently going across the river, and people can walk or bike across this from our side of the river down to the riverfront. And there are a couple different sites, either at the state capitol or at the Missouri State Penitentiary site off of Lafayette, where people could access that. So this $50,000 actually gets that project started, where those options can be looked at and see what would actually work. So it's very exciting. And there are two different riverfront projects. You probably heard of something in the news for the other side of the river. So I just want to clarify, this is speaking of the actual river access so that people can walk from our side of the river down to the river. So it's a very exciting project. It's been talked about for many years, but with Betty Jo's gracious gift, it could actually come to reality. And it's just the beginning. There will be other fundraising still needed to make it happen, but we very much appreciate Mrs. DeLong for getting it to this point. So please convey her thanks from us.
I will do so, and she is very appreciative of the support of the council members and the mayor and the members of the city and the Parks and Recreation who have worked very hard. And this access, which would be on our side of the river, is something that in this day and age, it's so popular, and the time has finally arrived. She is a visionary, but now the day has come, hopefully, and she will be able to see it in her lifetime.
Great. Well, I hope we can see through her vision, and with the help of the Jefferson City Chamber of Commerce, which is actually doing the work on this project, and then the Parks and Recreation Foundation, which is collecting the donation, the city is simply offering our pledge of support to see through what Mrs. DeLong has given. So does the council have any questions for Mrs. Monaco? Warren?
That's fine. I go by all names. I was born and raised here, so people can find me fairly easily.
Thank you. Any questions for Mrs. Warren? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
You too. And any questions about the resolution? Questions of staff? Okay, Mrs. Powell?
Branch.
Roll call, please.
Aye.
Costales.
No.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Thank you. Resolution passes, and appreciate the council's support of Mrs. DeLong's gracious gift. Item 5, public hearing. Item A, amendment to Chapter 35 zoning pertaining to funeral arrangement service office. And item I, associated pending bill 2015-19. Mrs. Powell?
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, amending Chapter 35, the zoning code pertaining to funeral arrangement service offices.
Thank you. Do we have anyone here to speak on item 2015-19? Okay. Mrs. McMillan, if you would please review the bill.
Thank you, Mayor. Currently, funeral service offices are permitted in all commercial zoning districts in the city. If passed, this bill will modify the definition and create standards by which a small funeral service arrangement office and large funeral service arrangement office are defined. Currently, the city's definition prohibits the storage of remains and conducting of ceremonies to restrict it to an office category. We've been advised this definition conflicts with state of Missouri requirements regarding licensing of funeral service establishments, which require that licensed facilities be capable of storing remains and conducting ceremonies. So in order to remove the conflict with state licensing requirements, this amendment has been proposed to do that. Planning and Zoning reviewed this at their meeting in June, and the motion passed unanimously. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Mrs. McMillan by council? Any discussion? Mrs. Powell?
I was just going to say, you might want to use the magic words of opening the hearing and then closing it. I think you kind of said it, but if we get the words opening the hearing and closing, that'd be good.
Great. So we've already opened the hearing, no comments, and then any further comments? At this time, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you. Mrs. Powell?
Costales.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Branch.
Aye.
Bill passes. Thank you. Before we move on, I did want to recognize in the audience tonight, we do have some scouts. And if the scouts would like to stand up and say what school and what troop you're from, you're welcome to do that at this time.
We're Troop 8 from training from the school. It's people from the RQ, and we're just here doing our citizenship in the community merit badge for Merit Badge University in Saturday.
Great. We're happy to have you. And what were your names?
My name is Matthew. And I'm Jacob.
Great. Both from Trinity Lutheran. Well, thank you for being here this evening. We appreciate that. And do we have any other scouts tonight? Okay, thank you. Item 6, appointments by the mayor. Item A, we have Parks and Recreation Commission for Bill Plank's appointment. Is there a motion?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. That appointment passes. Item B, council liaison appointments. To appoint to the Campo Board and MSP Redevelopment Board, Councilman Mark Schreiber to replace Councilman Rick Mahalovich. Is there a motion?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Congratulations, Councilman Schreiber, and thank you for serving. Item 7, presentation from staffs, consultants, and invited guests. Item A, Bill Lockwood will present the Lockwood Rome report about the Recreation Center.
Thank you, Mayor. Since the last council meeting, the Park Commission did meet last week, and the architect reviewed cost-cutting measures to get the project back into budget. You may have read that that consisted of eliminating a little over 11,000 square foot from the building itself. The staff of the architectural firm and engineers are still working on further opportunities to reduce site development costs to bring the project even closer into the budget range. Also, staff working with Drew has drafted the final MOU that will be beginning for discussions. That has been distributed to Lincoln University and their legal counsel, and the Parks Commission will be holding a special meeting tomorrow morning at 8:30, wherein we will get into a detailed discussion of the MOU that will most likely occur in closed session.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Lockwood? Thank you. Item B, we have in the audience tonight former Mayor John Landwehr, not the old mayor, the former mayor, Burgermeister, correct? John Landwehr, to speak about the Mayor's Cup Golf Tournament, which is this Friday. Welcome, Mr. Landwehr.
Well, thank you, Mayor. It's always usually fun to come back. This is what happens when you retire from politics. You get to do fun stuff. And I'm here just to let everyone here, elected officials and staff, know about, we think it's the 10th, the records are a little hazy, but we think it's the 10th annual Mayor's Cup Golf Tournament. And Bill has put up on the screen some contact information. If there are any folks here or anybody in the listening audience who would still like to sign up, we still have some slots. It was started about 10 years ago. All the proceeds go to charity. It's sponsored by our local Jefferson City Kiwanis Club, so it all goes to local youth activities. It's very reasonably priced. One of the reasons why we started it 10 years ago was it was about that time that Oak Hills, through Bill Lockwood's leadership and the commission, Oak Hills really began to come into its own. They began making some really neat capital improvements, improving holes, doing cart paths, and we've continued. It seems like each year, Bill, there's another addition to Oak Hills. It's really become quite. I'm not much of a golfer, but I'm told that it's really become a very nice municipal course, something we should be proud of. In fact, when we invite folks to play there, many of them haven't played there in years. They've gone over to more expensive, maybe a little fancier venues, and every time they come back, they always remark at how improved it is every year. So we want to make sure that everyone's aware of it. There's a telephone number they can call me. It's $80 per player. It's a threesome. You get a great lunch. Tee-off is at 1 o'clock. We had some pictures from previous players like Bill Betts and Steve Rasmussen one time, but for some reason Bill wasn't able to post those. He chose to delete those. But anyway, it's a great time. I think Bob Scrivener might be signed up. Anybody? If other elected officials don't sign up, Bob could be your sole representative. So staff too. It's always lots of fun. So thanks for having me and giving me just a couple of minutes to highlight it and to let everybody know they can just call my cell phone number, and that's all it takes to get signed up.
Thank you, John, for being here. It's always great to have a former mayor here, and I really do appreciate that you still take the time to work on this important event for the community and doing the fundraising and being a part of it. So thank you for being here.
It's a great event. We'll try to keep it going.
Thank you.
Take care.
Councilman Mihaljevic?
And I think there's a whole sponsor opportunity.
There is. Thank you, Rick. For those of you, not to let you off too easy, but if you can't schedule to play, the whole sponsors are very inexpensive, $50. So I think Mr. Crowell has already signed up for to be a whole sponsor. If you have a business that you'd like to have highlighted as a whole sponsor, or if you just want, as an individual, if you want to make a contribution of $50 and be recognized, all those proceeds go to groups, and they can to local youth activities, and they can call that same number. That's all it takes is a phone call. I'll get your mailing address. I'll send you an invoice. $50 for a whole sponsor. Thanks, Rick, for reminding me.
Thank you. And John, go ahead and count me, and I'll be a whole sponsor, so you just email me an invoice.
You and your mom
others will do the same.
Mayor.
Great.
Okay.
Mayor Langworth, I can't play golf, but you can put me down for a whole sponsor.
We're good. Okay.
All right.
I'll go home and watch the replay so I get all the answer. It's official now. You can't back off.
Right.
Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, John. Great. Looking forward to this Friday. All right. We also have item C, Provost. Let's see, excuse me, Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, Saeed Sewell from Lincoln University. Welcome, Saeed.
Thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to come and say thank you all to the city as well as City Council. I rise on behalf of President Rome, who would have been here himself, however, he's traveling. So one of the jobs as Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs is to represent the President when he's not here. But he wanted to send a letter to the City Council as well as to the Mayor for what happened a few days ago in regards to a fire that happened on our campus. And so I'll read the letter to you all now, submit it for records if you all don't mind. He says, Dear Mayor and City Council members, I have always known of our great city, but after recent events, that the overwhelming response from our neighbors and friends, our university has seen truly the spirit of the most beautiful small town in America. On Thursday, July 16th, Dickerson Research Facility was severely damaged in an accidental fire. Starting with the witnesses from the community who saw the flames and called for help, followed by the quick response from the Jeff City Fire Department, State Fire Marshal's Office, Jeff City Police Department, and EMT, and even the expression of concern that we received. We are simply overwhelmed by a truly great community and an awesome family. The timing of this fire comes just as we were preparing for renovation of this facility. Now we're faced with the possibility of completely rebuilding a building. Either way, we know that the situation could have been far worse and much more human collateral could have been engaged, as well as other property damage. We know that this is due to the work of those who were first and last on the scene and all the work that they did in between. Thank you. I'm grateful to be a part of such a great community where we can count on one another in times of need. Please know that no action has gone unnoticed, and the entire Lincoln family, we're thankful for what you all have done for us in this time. Yours truly, Kevin Rome, President, truly in the spirit of Blue Tiger Pride and Jeff City Pride. Thank you all. And I also just ask, he did ask that I inquire about the firefighter who was injured to some degree during fighting the fire. I think he was having some smoke inhalation, and I think he's well, but I hope he is doing well.
Yes, he was sent home that day for the remainder of his scheduled shift, but he was evaluated at the hospital and sent home. Diagnosis of just heat exhaustion and overexertion, but he is doing well now. Return to work.
Thank you all again. I will submit this for record.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sewell, for bringing that, and please tell Dr. Rome that we appreciate his kind thanks and also appreciate the fine work of the Jefferson City Fire Department for what they did on the scene. So thank you for being here. You're welcome. Thank you. Item 8, announcements by mayor, council, and staff. I would like at this time to call on Parks, let me see here, Parks Department. Oh, thank you, Phil, right here, to to talk about the Friends of the Park event coming up, and at your place, everybody has some information about the Friends of the Park Appreciation Ice Cream Social. Welcome, Mr. Stiles.
Thank you, Mayor. For 30 years now, the National Recreation and Park Association has billed July as National Recreation and Park Month. I'd like to take this opportunity to explain a program that you might be interested in. It's called Friends of the Park. Friends of the Park was started in January of 2014 as a grassroots advocacy program. To date, 859 people have become friends, and it continues to grow. By joining Friends of the Park, you demonstrate your support for recreation activities and quality parks in Jefferson City. The benefits of Parks and Recreation are endless and include strengthening community image and sense of place, supporting economic development, enhancing safety and security, promoting health and fitness, fostering human development, increasing cultural unity, protecting environmental resources, providing recreational and educational experiences, and much more. Friends of the Park is free and will enable you to become an informed and involved patron and an advocate for any Parks and Recreation issue that you feel passionate about. As a friend, you will receive a window decal, which looks like that, identifying you as a friend of the park. You will receive a monthly e-newsletter, opportunities to receive discounts and passes to facilities and activities, early registrations on most programs, pride in being in the know with periodic Did You Know facts that can make a social gathering a little bit more enjoyable. First notice about important legislations or local governmental decisions that may affect your Parks and Recreation opportunities and how you can make a difference, and much more. To join Friends of the Park, just go to the city's website, fill out the brochure that's at your place, and if you go to the website, just click on the Friends icon. In mid-May, the Parks and Recreation Department had an opportunity to purchase Greenberry Acres. In order to garner community support for the purchase of this property, an email message was sent out to all 859 friends one afternoon asking for testimonials in support of the purchase of the property. In just over an hour's time, we received over 80 responses supporting the purchase of the Greenberry Acres property to make it into a public park. These testimonials, along with several other letters and the City Council resolution, were presented to the Board of Directors of the Girl Scouts Council with the Department's and Commission final bid. We believe these testimonials from our friends help secure the purchase of this property. This Sunday, we are hosting a Friends of the Park Appreciation Party at the Washington Park Ice Arena from 2 to 5 p.m. There will be free ice skating, ice cream, fun and games, and chances to win prizes. We invite you to the party, to join Friends of the Park, and to discover the power of parks.
Thank you, Mr. Stiles, for being here and announcing that. And I joined Friends of the Park just today. It's very easy to do online, so I encourage all 10 of the council and everybody out there to join as well so they can keep up with this. I'll look forward to being at the event this Sunday, July 26th. I haven't ice skated in probably 30 years, but I'll look forward to putting some skates on and giving it a whirl. So thank you for having the event, and I hope we can all be there that day.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Thank you. I have a few other announcements. I wanted to mention, just to announce a date for the Homeless Project Connect is October 13th from 9 to 4, which is going to be a community service which will help to assist some unsheltered homeless individuals. And the city is working, I believe Jamie Abbott is working with this group. So Janice, I'll pass this down if you could give the information from that meeting to Mrs. Abbott. I also wanted to announce an event that I attended on July 10th. I went to Whiteman Air Force Base. I was invited for the change of command ceremony, and I was very honored to be invited to that and to show Jefferson City's support of the military there. So enjoyed being a part of that event. Also would like to announce we have a new Sam's Club that everybody's heard, and now the excitement, the time has finally arrived, that the grand opening is this Thursday, July 23rd at 8 a.m. So I hope everybody can attend that great event. And to mention a little about our Sam's Club here, they have 200 full and part-time jobs that they're bringing to the community, along with the sales tax dollars that will go along with that. it's a $20 to $25 million investment in the community, and a lot of people are very excited and brings people from surrounding communities to Jefferson City as well. So again, this Thursday, July 23rd at 8 a.m. for the grand opening of Sam's. And also later today, we'll take up a bill talking about the street area right of way in the Stone Ridge Transportation Development District as well. So those are my announcements. Does council or staff have any further announcements today? Okay, thank you. And item 9, Lincoln University Student Representative update for Mr. Jackson. And I wanted to mention that Mr. Jackson and I on Saturday evening were invited to the 165th anniversary of the Quinn Chapel celebration, and I thought that was great that right off the bat he could represent the council at an event. So thank you for being there, Mr. Jackson.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few announcements for everyone. All summer long, the orientation leaders have been getting ready for the freshmen to arrive at our university, the new incoming freshmen. The freshman move-in will be August 15th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And the years past, we've always seen city officials there to help the freshmen move in. I think last year, I think they passed out like popsicles and water because it was steaming hot outside, and carrying things up the stairs and up the elevators. So we encourage you guys to come out again from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. It should be fun. I believe we have over 400 plus freshmen moving in this year, and they're all moving in the same building, so you don't have to worry about being scattered around campus. So they're all moving in on the same building. Also, on that same day at 6:30 p.m., there will be a freshman convocation, something that the university will be bringing back for our freshman class, just welcoming them and kind of initiating them to the university. That's at 6:30 p.m. I will be bringing greetings on behalf of the city at that event, but it'd be also kind of nice if you guys can come, if you guys would like to come support. On August 27th at 6 p.m. in downtown Jeff, we will have our second annual Blue Tiger Fest. We had one last year. It was on the block on one of the blocks downtown, and we had a really good time. Our marching band came, different sporting events for the fall came. It was just a really good time. So if you guys could come out to that, we really appreciate it. And last but not least, our first official home football game will be on September 12th at 12 p.m. And I encourage you guys to come, bring your families. This will be a good time, and it's also our second annual Bleed Blue game. So if you do come, please wear all the blue you can wear, and we'll love to see you there, and we'll love to have a good time rooting on our Blue Tigers to a win this year. And that is all that I had. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson, and it's a great time for the community when all the students come back, so we're looking forward to having them, and we'll make sure that we have you send us some information so we can get any details as you get them about the freshman move-in on August 15th in the convocation, so we can all make sure and get that on our calendar. Mr. Henry?
I think if I recall, last year at move-in day, Councilman Graham promised a big barbecue for everybody. So I think I recall him saying.
Councilman Graham?
I think I delegated it to someone.
Well, we'll look forward to that event as well. So thank you, Councilman Henry. Great. All right, thank you. Item 10, presentation from the gallery on specific bills or resolutions. Do we have anyone in the audience this evening that would like to speak? Okay, I don't see any. Thank you. Item 11, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Item 12, bills introduced. Item 2015-29, Mr. Hilpert.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, amending Chapter 17, Section 17-11 of the Code by defining the term convicted.
Thank you, Phyllis. Mr. Hilpert?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Chapter 17 allows the finance director to take disciplinary action against a business license owner who's been convicted for an offense that violates the code. However, we don't define conviction, so in kind of the review, we thought it would be best to go ahead and do that. So we did define conviction to be not only, being found guilty by judge or jury, but also if you plead guilty to or having pled nolo contendere, which basically means, I'm not admitting I'm guilty, but I'm not going to defend myself. So we're getting all those things that are really our convictions that just kind of fall right outside the strict term of conviction. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments from council? Okay. 2015-30, Mrs. Powell.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a $4,678,658 agreement with Lamke Trenching and Excavating Incorporated for the Basin 5 and 6 upgrades, Phase 2, Contracts A and B project.
Mr. Marash.
Thank you, Mayor. As Clerk indicated, this is a sanitary sewer construction contract. A little over $4.5 million for this project. Basically, Basin 5 and 6 encompasses right through the heart of Lincoln University, along Stadium towards Highway 54, and then along Leslie up in the Huff Park area. The purpose of it is to remove 2 constructed overflows, as well as help add capacity. We have about 5 or 6 homes in the area that are susceptible to sewer backups. Is also part of our EPA consent order signed last year with the EPA to do this project. The project will last about 1 year and contains many stipulations to miss various Lincoln events and football season, things of that nature. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Comments? Thank you. 2015-31, Mrs. Powell.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute an amendment to the solid waste contract with Republic Waste Services doing business as Allied Waste to extend the contract to May 31st, 2016.
Mrs. McMillan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This contract expires October 31st, and the extension would provide the needed staging and startup time for a new provider if a new provider was selected. The same provider, if selected, may also need startup time due to changes in service options and/or billing options. And we, as you recall, we did have significant public involvement in development of the RFP prior to its becoming final and being released. So that it did take significant amount of time, probably more than originally anticipated in the original schedule. So the contract extension is certainly something that is needed. It'll provide a seamless transition to a new contract and allow us ample opportunity to inform the citizens of any changes that may be coming down the road.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the council? Councilman Graham?
Mr. McMillan, with this extension, are there any extra fees or is there any additional monies out? Or what?
The contract provisions are the same. They would just be extended for the length of the period. So nothing really changes other than the contract is extended.
It is probably worth noting, though, that in November is when they do their cost of living increase, or they can. So this would account for that.
Mm-hmm.
So like every year in November, they could raise it based on the CPI that they utilize.
What is that? What is that percentage? Do you know?
It would depend on what it ends up being at that time. I think it's
they publish those quarterly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So a formula. Okay. I think we may want to somehow make that known, because I can see it now. The community saying that based on this extension possibility that they're the reason why this rate or CPI is, being raised now, because we're asking for an extension. If that's not true, I think we need to get the word out there that that's not true.
That provision's included in the current contract, so they have the option of increasing the rates annually according to the CPI.
Councilman Scrivener?
It is a particular index, though it's not the CPI that we're commonly familiar with. It's like a trash haulers index.
Utilities. It's a utilities index.
Or something. Yeah.
CPI is kind of a generic term for a whole bunch of different kinds, and we usually utilize a different one than that. But that is a trash hauler one that's in the contract for whatever reason.
Right.
Further questions, Councilman Mihaljevic?
I appreciate the public comment. I know it lengthened the process somewhat, but I think you got a pretty robust RFP. And then speaking of RFP, how many bidders did we have? have bids in?
Our purchasing agent informed me that that information cannot be released at this time, so I'm not at liberty to say how many were received.
Further questions? Councilman Scrivener?
But they have been received.
The deadline was Friday.
Thank you. All right, bills pending, 2015-19, we've already taken up. 2015-20, Mrs. Powell?
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a revised memorandum of understanding and by law intergovernmental agreement with the Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, MPO.
Mrs. McMillan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Capital Area Metropolitan Planning Organization has been working on revisions to the bylaws ever since the census was last released in 2010. So the revisions to the bylaws and the memorandum of understanding were really driven by changes in the urbanized area and in the MPO's planning area, which was expanded to include 2 additional cities of Wardsville and Taos. The Capital Area MPO was formed in 2003 and is the official transportation planning organization for the Jefferson City urbanized area. The highlights of the changes to the bylaws and MOU were included in the council's packet, and I'd be happy to run through those changes. But if you have any questions, I'll answer that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions from council? Comments? Yes, Councilman Hussey?
I don't have any questions, but serving on the Campo board along with Councilman Henry, Scrivener, and Mihalovich, a lot of time and effort went into the edits to this document, and so what you're seeing is a lot of work through the technical committee and the board to try to create an MOU that best fits maybe our region, that involves as many as we can around here, and so I think we're all in favor of it, and we're involved in that process as well, and appreciate the work of our city staff in that process as well. And so it's taken some time to get to this point, but we're here, and so thank you, Ms. McMillan, and your team for your efforts, and I encourage the council to approve this evening.
Thank you, Councilman Hussey. Roll call, please.
Graham?
Aye.
Henry?
Aye.
Hussey?
Aye.
Mahalovich?
Aye.
Prather?
Aye.
Schreiber?
Aye.
Scrivener?
Aye.
Ward?
Aye.
Branch?
Aye.
Costello?
Aye.
Bill passes. 2015-21, Mrs. Powell?
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, establishing the name of Amarin Drive for a private street located off of Retention Road at the Ike Skelton Training Site.
Mrs. McMillan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The responsibility for naming streets goes through the Planning and Zoning Commission and then ultimately come to the council, and that includes private streets. So the request from the Missouri National Guard and Amarin UE came to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and they're recommending that the name Amarin Drive be applied to a private street within the confines of the Ike Skelton Training Site that you see on the screen in front of you.
Any questions for Mrs. McMillan? Councilman Scrivener?
I guess I just curious why Amarin Drive was selected for a facility that is part of the National Guard's facility. Was that their request?
Yes, so it's the Missouri National Guard actually requested it, and Amarin agreed to have this private drive named Amarin. Amarin apparently provided a donation to a project on the Ike Skelton training site, so they wanted to reflect that donation through naming of the drive.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Henry?
Aye.
Hussey?
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Branch.
Aye.
Costales.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Bill passes. 2015-22.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, amending Section 19-401, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule U, School Bus Loading Zones, School Zones, Parking Lots, etc., subparagraph A of the Code of the City of Jefferson pertaining to a portion of Lafayette Street.
Mr. Marash?
Thank you, Mayor. As clerk indicated, this bill will enact a school bus loading zone on Lafayette Street near the high school. Basically, it's on the west side of Lafayette, adjacent to the school. The request came from the school and went through our Transportation and Traffic Commission, where they recommended approval.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Roll call, please.
Hussey.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Branch.
Aye.
Costales.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Bill passes. 2015-23.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a $1,178,353.54 agreement with Jefferson Asphalt Company for the 2015 Mill and Overlay project.
Mr. Marash?
Thank you. As clerk indicated, this is our mill and overlay contract. The funding for it comes from the half-cent capital improvement sales tax, and the list of streets is, I believe, out on our website, as well as went through several meetings with our Public Works and Planning Committee. Be happy to answer any questions. Recommend approval.
Questions or comments from council? Roll call, please.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Branch.
Aye.
Costales.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Bill passes. 2015-24.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, accepting right-of-way from the Stone Ridge Transportation Development District.
Mr. Marash?
Thank you again. This is a bill to accept right-of-way from the new development, basically the Sam's Club area. That's getting ready to open up here, have their grand opening. I believe the roadway is already open, but the dedication's from the TDD and allows for some fencing and electricity use on the area for some landscaping. And the city would accept the right-of-way and maintain it thereafter.
Thank you. Council, questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Branch.
Aye.
Costales.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Bill passes. 2015-25.
An ordinance of the City of Jefferson, Missouri, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a $2,816,000, $590 agreement with Hutchins Telecom LLC for the Basin 12 Relief Sewer Project.
Mr. Marash?
Thank you. As clerk indicated, this is a wastewater construction contract. It's in the Bel Air School area, I'll call it, and basically it will increase the capacity of the sewer and remove a couple, two wet weather constructed overflows in the area. It's part of our EPA consent order project list, and we're supposed to have it done by next summer, so I think we should meet that schedule, and be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments from council? Roll call, please.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Branch.
Aye.
Costales.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Bill passes. 2015-26. Mr. Marash?
An ordinance amending the code of the City of Jefferson, Missouri pertaining to stormwater floodplain management.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this code amendment basically would adopt a stormwater quality component to our city code, which we haven't had in the past. We've held several meetings about it. It is part of our EPA consent order that it would be adopted by the end of this month, July 31st. And basically it defines a water quality storm in Jefferson City, which is almost an 1.5 inch storm. And new developments would have to consider this storm in their development proposals. And be happy to answer any questions past that.
Questions or comments? Councilman Scrivener?
Who's responsible for monitoring that? You said 1.5 inch storm. We've had several rains. I don't know how long that 1.5 inch has to fall, but when we do have a storm of that nature, who monitors to see that we're compliant?
Well, these would be installed as development would come online, and so as part of the review process where we review streets, sewers, all these various things, it's a theoretical storm in 24 hours, and so therefore, the theoretical capacity of whatever particular measure they use to do this, treat this storm with, would be, it's very theoretical in nature initially. Now, no storm hardly falls in 24 hours exactly like that. It's possible, but that's just that first flush of rain, basically, that typically has the most effect on water quality.
So it's a matter of what's being monitored is the engineering of the system to in theory at least take care of the problem. And it's not that someone is going back and retroactively checking storm. I mean, it's strictly new construction.
Right. This is on new and potentially redevelopment. However, there is a monitoring component that Public Works has to monitor them periodically to see that whatever measure was employed are still in place and report on that to the DNR.
Okay. So is there, I guess there's an ongoing cost to the city for that monitoring?
There certainly is, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Branch.
Aye.
Costales.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Bill passes. Nothing on the informal calendar. Resolution, item 15, RS 2015-11.
A resolution authorizing staff to distribute a request for proposals for professional services to conduct a comprehensive classification and compensation review.
Thank you. Mr. Crowell?
This will authorize staff to issue an RFP, a request for proposal, for a classification and compensation plan review. The last such review we had was in 2003. I anticipate the information being available for the consideration in the 2017 budget. So that's not the current budget on which we are currently working, but almost a year away. But I think by the time we go through the process, it'll take close to that period of time.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from council? Roll call, please. Oh, I'm sorry. A motion, please. Thank you. Any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Ward.
Aye.
Branch.
Aye.
Costales.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Shriver.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Item 16, presentations from the gallery on other topics. Do we have anyone here this evening to speak on any topics? I did want to recognize that we have a former Charter Commission member in the audience tonight, Ken Wildeper. Thank you for being here tonight. I also have a couple announcements I wanted to mention. Item 17, council and staff discussion. There is none, no presentation topics, but I failed to mention the Ice Cream Splash event, which was held by the city's Arts Commission and Foundation to raise money for a city splash park. And from what I understand, I haven't heard any final numbers. I don't know, Mr. Lockwood, if you know, but I know they had 1,000 armbands and ran out, so they had exceeded their expectations, and I heard numbers around $10,000. So you have any further update? That's about right. Okay. So that's very exciting to have a commission that actually is doing fundraising on their own. That's a great group of volunteers. We have a lot of city boards and commission, and that's a very hard-working one. So the fact that they've raised that kind of start money to People have asked, what is a splash park and where might that be located? I know it's very preliminary, so the Arts Foundation and Commission is still working towards that, but it's great to see them fundraising, so as they move that further, they can maybe see that to fruition and appreciate the fundraising. I also wanted to mention, announce the Budget Committee meetings, which are coming up, and we'll be meeting this coming Monday, a week from tonight, on Monday night, July 27th at 5:30 p.m. here at City Hall, and also Thursday the 30th. So I want to make sure that those are announced. The 27th will be the first budget meeting where the council will get their budget books and review Mr. Kroll, City Administrator's budget, and then any changes that I've made, the mayor's budget, and then the council will have the chance to review. Then a couple other dates that are upcoming, and if you go to the city's website at jeffcitymo.org, you can review the dates. The following week is a council night, so on council nights we won't have a budget meeting, but I believe then Thursday the 6th is a budget meeting, and the following week, Monday the 10th, is a budget meeting. But prior to the budget meeting, starting that evening, we will have a convening of the Annexation Committee, and that is a meeting of the entire council, the Annexation Committee, and that will be Monday the 10th at 5:30, followed by at 6 p.m. a budget meeting. And the topic of conversation on that Annexation Committee will be voluntary annexation of an area in the Meadows by the club. So just to make sure everybody has those dates on their calendar, and look forward to budget meetings. And I know the chair of the Budget Committee, Councilman Prather, will help us in leading those meetings, and looking very much forward to that. I also didn't ask if there were any other council committee meetings that anyone has announcements for dates or upcoming business. Okay, thank you. And item 18, any new business? 19, unfinished business. Item 20, approval of closed session minutes. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
That's roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry, roll call, please.
Branch.
Aye.
Costalis.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey.
Aye.
Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Ward.
Aye.
Motion passes. And before we adjourn, one last thing. In my office across the hall, I have bulletin boards on the wall. There are 5, one for each of the 5 wards. And I wanted to invite each council person, if you would, to bring something that I can hang on the bulletin board of what's happening in your ward. So, for example, I'll start. I have in the 4th ward, the annexation I spoke about, Willow Lake Court, the proposed voluntary annexation area. So I'm just going to tack this on the 4th ward bulletin board. I haven't labeled them yet. That's my next order of business, so that you'll know which ward is yours. But maybe at the next council meeting, if each person would want to bring, it can be a photograph. It can just be simply something written on a note paper of what's happening in your ward. Is there an event, or is there a construction, or just anything that you think might be of interest in your ward? Because I'd like to start using that space as, looking at what's going on. So as people come in there, and you're welcome to meet with constituents in that office as well, they can look at the board and see different things that are happening in all the different wards. So I would ask that you would please bring something to add to your ward's bulletin board. So motion to adjourn?
Second.
Roll call.
Branch.
Aye.
Costalis.
Aye.
Graham.
Aye.
Henry.
Aye.
Hussey. Mahalovich.
Aye.
Prather.
Aye.
Schreiber.
Aye.
Scrivener.
Aye.
Ward.
And we're adjourned. Thank you.